Hi, this is Ed Breniger, and in this video, I want to introduce you to the Circle of Impact. The Circle of Impact is a model of leadership. So a model is simply a conception, a way of seeing how things work in an organization or in a person's life. And I do believe that all organizations are simply human personality, proven psychology written large, because all organizations are the formation of human ingenuity, of human action, of human ideas, and human relationships. So this Circle of Impact model is simply a picture of how things come together and how things work. And as a tool, it becomes a way for us to see where problems are. Let me briefly give you a picture of what this looks like, and I'll describe it, and then I'll come back and talk deeper about how to utilize this. Circle of Impact is built on three dimensions: the dimension of ideas, the dimension of relationships, and the dimension of structure. Think about all the places where you need to be clear in what you think and how you speak and how you communicate. Think of all the places where it is important for your relationships to be ones of respect and trust. And think about why the places where you give yourself, where you come together with other people and you organize for a program or a product or a business, a school, where things are just not working. And you don't know why they're not working, because you're not clear on what the real outcome is for the work that you do together. So the Circle of Impact is built around these three areas. And the patterns of behavior, or patterns of the lack of clarity of people's thinking and ability to communicate. And there are patterns of behavior that I saw and still see in how people treat one another with disrespect, and there is no trust. And there's patterns of behavior where it's really not clear why this business is doing what it's doing, or it seems as if the whole focus of the business is inward on pleasing someone within the organization, or simply treating the business as something personally important without it really having a substantial reason for why it exists for the public. So just in those three quick descriptions, I show you where problems emerge in almost every place that I have seen and worked over the course of my life. And so these patterns of behavior can be addressed by looking at the Circle of Impact and applying it to the work that you do. I want to speak to that because I think it's important for us to see that most of why we are not happy with the things that we do has to do with the lack of integration of these three areas. If we're not clear about why we do the work we do, we may have found ourselves doing a job simply because it was a way to make money. And someone told us along the way that if we don't make money, then we'll never be successful, with the subtle notion that only people who make money are successful. Well, I don't believe that is actually true. I believe that we do need financial resources for our life, but I don't believe that that's the measure of whether a person's life has value, or it's a measure of whether a business or a group, a social group, or a school, or a church, or even a government is a measure of whether it is successful or not. I think its measure is based on what its values are and how those values are reflected in the impact that they seek to create. The idea of impact is about creating a change that makes a difference, that matters. So if you are working at a job and you can't answer why this work that you do matters, I'm not talking about the work of the whole organization, I'm talking about your work, then maybe it's it's time for you to consider doing something else. But before you do something else, you have to decide, what is it that I really want to change? What is it that I believe in? What is it that I value? And who are the people that I actually want to work with? Because if you're going to go do things that are of value, that create impact, then you're going to have to be with people who share those same values. And when you share those same values, then it's possible to build the respect and trust that is needed. And if you're going to work together in an environment where respect and trust are honored, then what you will see emerge is the capacity for mutual accountability of one another. You're able to talk to one another and say, you know, Joe, that didn't work, and this is why I think it didn't work. Or someone tells you, says, Led, I think you made a mistake there that really had a detrimental effect of what we're doing. I think if you had tried it this way, and if we're truly respecting and trusting one another, we'd say, okay, I hear what you're saying. Thank you. I will seek to understand that better and do better next time. That's where mutual accountability comes in. And then if the work that we do, whether in whatever environment that we're in, is not focused on some kind of change that makes a difference that matters for someone, then why are we doing it? And I think we're stuck for many people in this world and many organizations in this world are stuck without a really clear idea of why they do what they're doing, other than we're going to make money and we're going to try to avoid problems. And that's really not sufficient. That's really not sufficient. So the circle of impact, give you one more view of this. The circle of impact is a way of looking at where we are and what we do. And if you were to take this picture and apply it to your work on a daily basis, I mean, I know people who use this and they have this image underneath the glass on their desk, or it's taped up on their computer monitor or over their computer monitor, because they want to constantly be looking at how do these three areas come together in the situation that I'm in. So if you're facing a problem, you're going to ask the question, for example, is this an idea problem? Is this a relationship problem? Or is this a structure problem? And once you decide which one it is, then you're going to take the other two dimensions and use those as your resources. Let me give you a quick idea of what that looks like. Let's say that your company or your group has been communicating with who you believe are your constituents. And you have done the traditional thing, you're sending out emails and doing newsletters, but you're not getting much response. And so you ask the question, why are people not responding to us in the communication that we're presenting to them? And you decide that, okay, this is a relationship problem. But because it's a relationship problem, you can't address it as a relationship problem. You have to address it in a different way. Because if you go to them and say, we have a relationship problem, why aren't you listening to us? You're just exacerbating the problem that you have identified. So instead you go to them and say, what kind of information would you like from us, and how would you like to receive it? Information being, what is it that you need from us that would add clarity to your understanding of who we are, and what mechanism, what structure of communication is best for you? Oh, so email is not best. You would like a phone call or some other means. You want a Zoom call or whatever it may be. You build a relationship by solving the kind of the secondary problems that exist. That's just a simple way of seeing how the circle of impact functions as a model. And it's also a model for your development of leaders in your organization or in your community. So every one of your leaders needs to be clear about their values, need to be clear about what their purpose is, to be clear about what the impact is that they want to achieve, and how they are going to work together, building respect and trust between one another. They need to know how to do that. And then to build a structure which actually has the focus to achieve the impact that you want to have. That's the kind of leadership capacity building that needs to happen. And the circle of impact is a tool for achieving that. So the circle of impact is a model. It's just a model. It's a tool. It's a conceptual tool for identifying how we're going to work together and where our problems might be, but also where our advantages are, what our strengths are, and therefore it gives us a tool for helping accelerate and advance the work that we do. And when you learn how to use it, and that's what training in the circle of impact is for, then we begin to know better who we are and why we're doing what we're doing, and more importantly, what we want to see happen from all the work that we do and all the effort that we give to it. In future videos, there will be other aspects of this that I'll address so that it will build upon this understanding of the circle of impact in a way that gives you a really solid understanding of what leadership is for you and your family and for your community in all ways. So I thank you, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.